Hey everybody, today we're going to be grinding on the Foley 653. I'm going to show you how to grind a triplex reel. So let's take a look. So we'll be grinding on the Foley 653. It has all electronic gauging. We can spin grind, and then we will also do a relief grind. It has the AccuTouch 3 control pad. So Foley has some cool presets on here that you can set for your rear roller. You can do the 5-inch Toro, Deer, or Jake, and then also the 7-inch for your fairway units. And you can just set it in those presets. One thing I have noticed is when you're doing a relief grind, especially on a 14 blade, sometimes those presets don't fit just right. And so I'm going to take a look and see how it sets for a relief grind on this 14 blade. So if you look right here, I have it in the preset position for a 5-inch Toro greens reel. But when I get under here to see how much space I have, see if I can get on this, to show how much space I have for my relief stone, I'm almost hitting the next blade up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the reel forward a little bit to give a little bit more clearance from this blade so that it can ride on the guide. So if you see here, I just pulled it a little bit forward from the preset just to right here. And what that gives me is it gives me more clearance from this blade right here to the blade that's going to be getting the relief grind on the guide back there. Gives me enough room that I can infeed without hitting this blade. So now that I'm happy with that, I'm gonna clamp down my rear roller, and I'm going to make sure I'm still level, and then we'll clamp down our front roller. So if you have this rear roller brush, Foley has this spacer that you can use to lock down this rear roller with this spacer, so that's all locked down. Nice and stable, you want no play at all. And then I have leveled with this leveling plate here, and as you can see, I am level there. So with all of that done, we'll clamp down the front roller and start taking some measurements. So the first measurement we're going to take is our vertical positioning, and there's a little hidden feature here on the Foley where if you push right there, it'll give you the numbers, and then you can see exactly what your gauge is reading. So I have the gauge extended out right now. You mark off the left side first and then the right, and then you can make your adjustments from there. So let's take our left side position now. So I have the gauge on the left hand side here. If you've got fat fingers, one secret is just to kind of run your gauge up along the drive gear here, and that will get you on the middle of the shaft. So I'm touching off the middle of the shaft right there, and it is reading 0.091. So we'll mark that and then check off on the right side. So I've set it on the right side here, and we are reading 1.929, and so we'll need to make an adjustment. So I will check that off, and it's telling me that I need to, on the silver vertical knob, turn it counterclockwise, and then on this my final adjustment needs to be counterclockwise as well. So I loosen this, and then I can make my adjustment. And you see how the leveling bar comes in. I like having these numbers on here because I know how far I need to go, rather than just looking at the leveling bar. Because I'm turning it counterclockwise already, it's meeting that requirement of having my final adjustment be counterclockwise. I like to stop a couple thousandths before, because when you tighten down your tightening knob here, it'll pull it in just a little. One other thing I like to do whenever I make a large adjustment like that is just back up on the screen and remeasure and just make sure I'm still good. Okay, so I've touched off both sides again, and you can see I'm just slightly off, so I'm 1.856 on the left and 1.854 on the right. So I can make a little adjustment just to bring it in a little closer. But if you notice, I'm going clockwise, so I'm going to want to go a little past 1.858 and then just bring it back counterclockwise just a hair and then tighten down. And I am dead on. So I feel confident with that measurement. So from here we go to our horizontal position. So you just loosen that, and then you will touch off of the shaft again from the left and the right. And so you can see I'm touching off here on the left, and it is giving me a reading of 1.313, and that will touch off on the right. Okay, so here I'm touching off on the right hand side. It shows that I am at 1.327, so I'm a little bit off on this side, so we will check off. And then on this, it's the orange handle, so we will loosen that, and it tells me to make the adjustment counterclockwise. Again, this is a pretty large adjustment, so we will double check it after we are done. Okay, I've measured and gone back and forth a few times, and you can see now it's dead on. And so with both sides being equal, we are now good to start grinding. Okay, so what I like to do here is I like to touch my reel off onto the stone, and so I just bring it up into the stone till it touches, and I'm touching right there, so I'll lower it a little, and now I'm not touching, and just get it to where I'm not touching. Other thing is I like to pull it over to where I clear the reel, and then I can bring my stop all the way over here until it lights up, just like that. And now I know that's where it's going to stop. So from here, we will come over to the other side, and I can just verify that I'm not touching. I can almost feel it touching there, so I know I've got a pretty good cylinder. I'll probably lower it just a hair, and then I also will clear here and set my other left-hand stop. And so you can see that is lit up right there. So my reel will stop, or my stone will clear the reel. And I come over here, and it's lit up there, and my stone will clear the reel there. So next thing we'll do is we'll move our drive motor over to this side, because that's where we have access. This does have a washer, so make sure you don't leave the washer behind. And Foley gives you these drivers that'll fit deer, Jake, and Toro. You should only be running Toros. And then just get that drive motor as parallel as you can. Tighten it all down. And now we're ready to do a test grind. So from here we're going to do our test grind. We will start the motor up, and then we will start feeding across. And I just want to make sure that I have a light touch. This was the big side of the reel, so it should hit a little bit harder, and you can hear that. I also have another video on how to read a pie tape. You should measure your reels before every grind. That way you know if you have a cone. From here we're going to start our program. I'm doing a 3/1000 in feed. It's going to do a total of 3 in feeds. It'll do 4 passes in between each in feed, and I'm going to do a 1/1000 in feed for my spark out, and that's going to pass 10 times. We will start that. Sometimes if it's hitting a little heavier than you like, you can back it off using these in or out buttons, and they'll take it in or out 1/1000. This one sounds really good though, so I think we're gonna let this program run. Okay guys, so we've spun ground it and now we are gonna do a relief grind. The first thing you're gonna do is reposition the stone in the relief setting and get that pin all the way in there. Next, you're gonna wanna make sure your guide is as close as possible to the wheel, and then have your finger extending enough that it's gonna grab on the reel here. Okay, so I've got the stone in position here. And I just want to show a couple things. First, it's riding on the guide right here, and then I have it almost touching. In fact, it's touching right now, and I'll back it off a little. And then I also have the guide finger behind the reel there. And so what I'm looking at here is that I have enough room to clear that blade that's in front there. If not, you'll hit that blade and mess up your spin grind. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust this finger to where it has just a little bit of play off the back edge of that blade. And I have it right there. So I like that. Now I'm gonna move it to the left to where the blade rests on that finger, and I'm also touching my right hand stopping point, which is perfect right there. Next, we'll come over to the left hand side, and when you get under here, you'll see this finger will kick out right there. And now it's on the front side of the blade. And I will, from there, just clear the stone, but stay on the guide. And then adjust my left hand stop right there. So now I'm still on my guide, and my finger is on the front edge of the blade, just like that. Let's see if I can get a little better look for you. Right there, you can see the finger. And so what'll happen now is this will travel across to the right side. And once it gets to that stop right there, it'll feed to the next blade, just like that. So now we have everything in there set and ready. So we come to our relief grind screen, which if you're at the home screen, you're gonna program, you have a Toro reel, it's a 5-inch reel, and this is a 14 blade. That's super important when you're doing relief, because you need to know how many number of blades you have. From there you can go to the relief grind right there. And it has a tutorial you can walk through as well, but we have just done that. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna check and make sure it functions before we send it through. So I'm gonna turn the tension on the motor, and we will send it across and see that it feeds properly. I don't have the stone touching the reel, it's slightly off the reel. But we're gonna see that it feeds properly. And now we're coming across. And what I want to happen here is once I get to this right side, I want it to auto feed to the next blade. And it did. So we know we are good. One other thing too, if you want to turn the tension up a little bit more and get a little more torque so that that reel turns a little harder, you can hit right here and it will show you the setting it is at. We're at a +4. I'm going to go to a +5. And now we can do our test grind. So let's see what we've got here. I'm going to just infeed slightly. I have a perfect cylinder right now, so I should hit very evenly all the way across. And in the test setting, you always have to send it back itself. I'll definitely spark more going to the left than I will the right. But I am happy with that, and it fed to the next blade. So now I'm in my program editing area here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in on an 8/1000 feed. I'm going to do one time, so it'll go through all 14 blades one time on an 8/1000 feed. So we'll hit the check mark there, and then this will send it. This tells me to do it at a 15 on the speed. And that sounds pretty good. So we'll let this do these 14 blades and come back and see how it looks. Okay, so we just finished our relief grind, and you can see on there I've got a pretty good edge. I probably will send it one more time. I want to get over 50% of that blade with the relief edge, but everything is super consistent on it. Looks really good. This is a 14 blade reel, and it's turned out really nice. Okay, so we're all done grinding. I'm going to put everything back together and let's see how we did. We had a new bed knife on here, so a lot of times when you got a new bed knife, you want to loosen things up a little bit because you've added more material between you and the reel. Other thing that's important, get you a 2x4 and lift your reel up and just set it underneath here. You want to keep the pressure off of these bolts. If you set up with those bolts on the table, when you flip this over and set it on the ground, everything will get tighter. Okay, so I did have to loosen it up a little because with the new bed knife, it just made it tight. So I've loosened it. Now I can tighten down these bed knife bolts a little bit more, or all the way down. And then I can flip this guy over for a minute. And you want to tighten these down and then back them off a half turn, just like that. You definitely don't want to roll the spring, so just tight and then half turn off. So now we have all that set up. And go back up in the air and we'll just reel the bed knife. Okay, so we've got everything back together. We're just going to check it and see how she cuts. Feels good. So we will set the height, and this thing is ready to go out on the course.